I am Tina Zerbian. I'm the CEO with Connecting Communities in Action in Cattaraugus County and first vice chair. So good morning, everyone. We'll dive right into the agenda. I do hope that Dennis is well. As long as we have quorum, can we take a look at the minutes from October 27th? I do have a change. I was listed as second vice president and Dan Maskin was listed as first vice president. In actuality, I am first vice president and Dan, I believe, is considered immediate past president, if we could make that change. Are there any other comments or questions on the minutes?
I move that we accept the minutes as presented.
Alan Jones, I second that.
Motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Anyone opposed or abstaining? Thank you. Moving on, today we have a special guest, two special guests. The first is our acting Secretary of State, Robert Rodriguez. Is the secretary here with us? I am not seeing the secretary. Does anyone know if he is on his way?
Hi, Tina. This is Manny. We're checking with his office, but I see something executive office here, so I don't know if he's on. He's just having difficulties getting on. I see something from the executive office on the.
No, Mr. Wilson.
Hold on a second, please.
Miller from EOC. That's why it says executive office.
Okay.
Hey, this is Matt. I'll go see what I can find out. Hold on a moment.
All right. Thank you. Well, we do have another guest with us today, and that's Vilda Mayuga. So why don't we move along and hear from Vilda today?
Hi, good morning, everyone. I just really have very short remarks. It's wonderful to see all of you. I hope Dennis is okay. I really was looking forward to see him through video, but I will give him a call. Separately, I really just wanted to join today to share that I am basically today will be my last day with the Department of State. I have accepted a position with the New York City Mayor Adams administration. I'll be commissioner over there of the Department of Consumer and Worker Protection. So I'm really excited about that. I'm going to be taking some time off next week, and then I will start on March 1st. Mike, I know we'll be working a lot together, so some of you I'll get to continue seeing, and I hope we can find ways to keep collaborating. I know there's tons of work that continues to be done, and I've had a wonderful time working on all of you. It is just an incredibly committed group of people, and I always appreciate it so much that you keep us, on our feed. You're not shy to express concerns, and I think that really demonstrates a true collaboration between government and community-based organizations. I truly believe you are all the ones that can really tell us what's going on. I feel like oftentimes I tell Manny and other colleagues here that we have to fight back the sitting behind a desk and issuing policies and things like that may be very well intentioned, but completely disconnected to what's actually needed on the ground and what makes sense in practical terms, and to operationalize maybe amazing ideas. But again, I really thank you all so much for all of the collaboration, all of the honesty, all of the hard work. I mean, I got to work with all of you during COVID, and I still feel like we're just part of a movie. And just, we're going to read about ourselves in the history books, I think, once this thing, it's, keeps evolving into something else that's not a pandemic, and just take all the lessons. I mean, it's trial by fire, as they say, right? It brought a new meaning, I think, to that phrase, and just keep up, keep doing all the amazing work. I'm sure, the secretary is really looking forward to be here. So we'll figure out soon what, are these technological challenges, but he's very much committed to all of this work, in his prior work as an assembly member also for our state. He's very well aware of these issues and representing, East Harlem in New York City. So that was it. That's really, it sort of worked out really well. I'm really excited that I was able to join you. I'm literally today, I mean, it's everything you can see behind me, everything's down and it's all cleaned up the office. So thank you so much. It's been just amazing. And I really look forward to, Manny doesn't get rid of me. I have his personal number. So he will have to respond to me. If he doesn't, I'll send Mike. You're going to represent me in pushing him from city to state. So thank you. That was it.
Thank you, Vilda. Thank you for your support during your tenure with us. And I'm sure I speak for everyone when we wish you the very best of luck in your new role.
I would echo that. The Department of State's loss in this instance is the city's gain. So I am looking forward, very selfishly, to being able to continue to work with you in the city.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mike. For the record, I see that Miguel Santos has joined us. Welcome, Miguel. Does anyone know if the secretary has been able to join us as of yet?
We're trying to communicate with his office, so I know he's trying to get in.
Okay. All right. Well, why don't we move along the agenda? And Manny, you're next on the agenda. Why
Next.
don't we hand it over to you while we're waiting for the secretary?
Okay. I would follow the deputy secretary, right? It's kind of ironic. I'm going to take a moment of personal privilege for 1 second, because I think that she was a little bit too short in her remarks. We can go on and on and on. The deputy secretary and I are more than just business colleagues. We have formed a very strong personal bond, as well as one of the things that she's taught me along the way. This network has been and will always be fortunate to have her in our service, very frankly. There are so many things that she has done behind the scenes, very frankly, on behalf of CAAs, that if there's been exposure in the governor's office, if there's been exposure with other state agencies, and in the public, in great measure, it's due to her advocacy for us. She has been a tremendous asset to CSBG, very frankly, to me personally, obviously. But there is not enough words. There really are not enough words to express my personal gratitude and the gratitude that we have for what you've done, Vilda. There are times when we face a whole bunch of crises, not only the pandemic, very frankly, but what do we do with funding, and what do we do in terms of the direction of innovation, very frankly, and having voices heard that had not been heard previously, and the liaison with Secretary Rosado, and so forth and so on. So we're going to miss you, very frankly. I know that you have my personal number. You know where I live. You know where I work. You know my office in Albany. So I know that we're not going to necessarily separate anytime soon. But I think
I told you about the chip that I.
Yeah. My wife also told me too. So yeah. But to the degree that we can thank you, and express our thank you and be of service to you in your new position, we're here, very frankly. And we only pray that you are happy in your new position and that you will find great success. And as Mike Bobbitt said, our loss is the city's great gain. So we love you and we thank you for what you've done for us. So thanks. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Now onto the business at hand, right? Just want to give a few updates. I want to thank Jackie R. and Niska for the work that we're doing on the monitoring work group. We have taken on the task of taking a holistic look at how DCS and DOS monitors CSBG and the agencies, and how we can have a stronger bond and collaborative, very frankly. And it's an A to Z type of review, and Jackie's been very helpful in framing some of the work for us, and the members of the work group have been very vocal. We've looked at things like the monitoring guide. We're looking at the principles, very frankly, of what monitoring should look like. Outcomes, hopefully, trying to even look at terms like success and what does that mean. As part of this, and as many of you know, there was an attempt to try to revise the tracks tool. And we, based on internal conversations, have decided to take yet another look at the tracks tool to make it more comprehensive. We've gotten very good advice about that and very good guidance on that. And so we are now working not only with the work group, but we've also reached out to NASCASP and some other experts to make a comparison with other states of how best to utilize the triennial review. And in so doing, then we will be able to have a better product that we believe that would allow us, number one, to base our monitoring on the comprehensiveness of the review. Number two, offer the technical assistance that's needed, again, based on the comprehensiveness of the review. Use a database, hopefully, that we will have to reduce redundancies in the request for documents, which I think will make everybody happy here. And at the same time, bring the office into at least the 21st century. I can't say 2022, but clearly by having a database on hand and working with the monitoring group and working on various changes and revisions that we can make moving forward, we'll have a better, we think, better outcomes and a better understanding of what it is that DCS and DOS is trying to do when we work with the network and we speak to the network about monitoring and technical assistance and looking at outcomes and innovation and making the partnership stronger. So I was asked to talk about the tracks tool, and that's where we're at this point. And we'll continue to inform the EDs through our calls and also through the work group to make the recommendations, based also on internal discussions that we have here at DOS. I also want to thank many of the executive directors that we have spoken to on a variety of issues such as racial equity, fatherhood, volunteer engagement. It helps make our state plan a little stronger. We're in the first year of a 2-year plan in 2022 and 2023. We will use 2022 to plan for better outcomes on volunteerism, fatherhood, as well as continued work on racial equity. And we will be able to inform the network with a little bit more clarity on the direction where we would like to go with these projects. Again, getting input from the network. I know that there has been concern about the continuing resolution. The House has passed the version of the continuing resolution. We're waiting on the Senate to pass. I checked yesterday afternoon. They had not done so. The House version goes through March 11th. And we're just waiting to see what the Senate is going to do. I have not heard this morning. They may have done something, but I haven't heard anything. So again, we're working off of a continuing resolution, which is basically 2021 budget figures. In terms of CARES, I want to thank all the members of the network for the hard work that they have been doing to spend the CARES money. The pace has been picking up a little bit. We want to thank DYCD because they really picked up the pace and they did a nice job with theirs. There are a few agencies that are just about completed their allocation, the use of the allocation. We hear sometime at the end of March. And for the most part, we have been also working with amendments to either the work plans or budgets to try to ensure that all the money is spent. We had recent conversations with the Office of Community Services at HHS. They are very concerned about the rate of spending, very frankly. They don't want to see any money returned to Washington. Obviously, this is highly scrutinized dollars, and also it's a chance for CSBG to shine. But I will tell you that in speaking to colleagues around the country, there have been a lot of challenges in spending this money because there was a whole bunch of CARES money in general. There was not just CSBG. So agencies have been trying to use their imagination and moving forward. We do know and we believe, very frankly, that with the expiration of the moratorium on evictions, that more agencies are going to be doing rental assistance. So I think that that money is going to pick up as well. And finally, we will be picking up on the trainings with the agencies. We're looking at a schedule, including training on the new contract that hopefully will be released in May or June of this year. We're in the middle, and Amy Cole is going to speak about this. We're in the middle of putting together our annual report that is due on March 31st. Most of you should have received your forms. So if you need help, please give us a call. I see that the secretary is on. I'm going to cut my remarks short and give deference to our secretary. So thank you very much for listening to me. Tina?
Thank you, Manny. I will make room for questions for Manny. But first we want to welcome our Acting Secretary of State, Robert Rodriguez. Good morning.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you, Manny. I appreciate it, and we'll get you back on stage to do the real work. But I just wanted to take the opportunity. I did not want to miss this meeting. We know how much good that we're all doing on here in terms of distributing much needed funds to help support all the people throughout New York State. So thank you so much, and I appreciate all your patience. But I just wanted to say good morning. It's really a pleasure to be here with you to learn more about community services and the work that I hear that you do. I recently started as the Acting Secretary of State under the leadership of Governor Hochul, and I'm thrilled about the opportunity to collaborate with the programs that you all run and bring change to the communities across the state. So of course, I want to thank my staff that does a great job of helping to direct the leadership of the program, Vilda Mayuga, Manny Rosa, and all the staff at our Division of Community Services. Day in and day out, they do their best to help New York's communities in many areas. And of course, your efforts help to inspire the progress and the economic recovery that we continue to want to see happen throughout the state. And I'm sure Vilda may have already mentioned it, but I have to bid her a deep and heartfelt farewell. We are going to miss her sorely, but we really congratulate her for the opportunity that lies ahead. She was selected by Mayor Adams, the administration, to be the commissioner for the Department of Consumer and Worker Protection. So the city's gain is certainly our loss, but we will continue to work together and collaborate on different initiatives. So I just wanted to thank Vilda, and it's her drive and passion here at DOS that has made great things happen in terms of the CSBG program. So I just wanted to say thank you and congratulations to Vilda for the work that you're going to be doing, the work that you have done with us. So more importantly, I want to thank all of you, the community organizations that we rely on to provide critical services. In my previous hat, I served as an assembly member representing East Harlem, El Barrio. And before that, I did work on the local community board. So for the better part of a decade, I have been trying to bring change about in my community, in my corner of the world. And now we have the opportunity of that across the state of New York. But you guys are doing it day in and day out. We would not be who we are as a state and if we did not do our best every day to provide a high level of services to the constituents that we all service. And I know that you do that. So I just don't talk about it. I believe in it, believed in it all my life. And of course, seeing the work that we've done and on this platform just allows me to serve constituents in a different way. So just to talk a little bit about myself, for those of you who I haven't had the opportunity to work with before, my focus in the legislature have been very much on affordable housing, preserving public housing, making sure that we create community-based development projects in our community that actually hire people from the community, doing things before they were fashionable in terms of community benefits agreements, and making sure that when we created the first mall in East Harlem, when people thought that malls couldn't exist in inner cities, that it not only was it possible, but it was possible to do good in different places. And I think an extension of that is the work that we do in our small cities and towns around the downtown revitalization program. program. So has to be something more than just development, has to be about people, has to be about community services, has to be about workforce. That's what I think we bring together at the Department of State, and your work with the work that we do in other areas comes together to really help people in terms of finding their way. As well as being a legislator, finance is my background. I did public finance for 15 years. So not only do we talk about building projects and developing communities, at some point you have to know how to pay for this stuff. So I've done a lot of work in terms of trying to make sure that we can, build things and pay for them and not impact taxpayers in a way that it's burdens that they can't afford. So I look forward to keeping up with this exciting work and working with all of you. We know that in particular, the pandemic has put a lot of challenges on our social services, and the Division of Community Services and all the work that you do in the networks provide the foundation for creating new opportunities for New Yorkers, for being able to help them reach the next stages of progress and growth. And that's really what this upcoming $216 billion budget that we are rolling out in the process of attempting to pass with our partners in the legislature, try to do. Remember that we're taking care of people, investing in our future, and making sure that we do so in a way that makes sure that the state of New York is in good fiscal strength. But one of our priorities, as you all know, is to break down the barriers that keep our residents economically stagnant. And all of you are our partners on the ground that help this integral effort. So you're working hard to help New Yorkers in job skills, job training, community outreach, virtual career fairs, and other ongoing initiatives, and to move job seekers to permanent work, including your own needs to fully staff and be able to serve the community. And you were doing that before it was fashionable, and right now we're looking to expand on the work that you're doing and literally creating an office of economic and workforce development, just to make sure that we get it right. Now that we have the resources to be able to do that, and an ambitious investment program, both around infrastructure, but also climate and green jobs, as well as healthcare, and as well as teachers. So, these are industries, and really they're about people and getting people into those jobs. So while there are many other economic hardships resulting from the pandemic, with the eviction moratorium, which Manny mentioned, that's still a reality. It's a reality that exists, and that we have to continue to address in the budget, but also through providing services to people and continuing to work tirelessly to support those families that are either potentially facing eviction and or continue to be in need of state support, as we attempted to address and demonstrate through the ERAP program and the local home ownership, homeowners assistance program. But we know that there's more work to do, not just there, but throughout the state. And there's a real opportunity for a better future if we work together and bring the necessary tools to our neighborhoods. In particular, with the support that we had through CARES and through pandemic relief, in addition to what we do through CSBG, we know that we're able to put resources on the ground that really are helping New Yorkers be more resilient and to move forward in their lives in this really critical time. So I just wanted to applaud all of you for the work that you do, and look forward to continuing to work with you and learn the best way to support your ongoing endeavors, because we all have the same goal, which is to help every single New Yorker find their true success, potential, find their way out of poverty, out of economic hardship, into a brighter economic environment and future. So thanks for giving me the opportunity to be here and to meet all of you. And I have read all of the bios of the leadership here, and have just been impressed by the leadership and the breadth that we have of service providers across the state participating in this program. And the truth is, I don't think there's a part of the state that's not represented, in this body. And really hearing about the issues from you is how we figure out a better roadmap and formula to serve people. So thank you all, and I look forward to hearing more from you, and hopefully meeting you in person in the near future. I'm truly grateful for the collaboration that we have, the resources that we put into work, and changing outcomes for people. With that, I'll turn it back to Manny.
Thank you so much. I know that we are very excited about the opportunity to work with you in your office moving forward. We hope that this is the first of many opportunities to get to know one another. Manny,
Yes, thank you,
we sort of
Secretary.
left it off with you, and
Yeah, I just want to thank the secretary. Just to share a little behind the curtain. When we first met, we talked about the advisory council, and the first thing that the secretary said to me is, "Let me know when." That was exactly his words. So his availability today at our first meeting since his appointment is very special, very frankly. And I need to tell you, Secretary, that you have in this network some tremendous dedicated public servants that may have saved a lot of people during the pandemic, very frankly, and not getting the credit that they do. But I'm looking forward to working with you because they've shared that with me. So thank you, Secretary, for joining us.
Thank you. And I have a little bit of time, so I'm going to hang out with you a little longer and do some
Okay,
more
great.
learning.
Okay, great. Tina, I wanted to let Amy do the annual report, the briefing on the annual report, if that's okay?
thank you, Manny.
Okay.
Amy Kohler, you're up.
Good morning. I feel like I have to say, please don't hang up. Manny asked me to go over the annual report, and I know this is not everyone's favorite thing to do each year. So I just wanted to just do a brief review of the annual report in its entirety. So our CSBG, oh, can you do the next slide? Yep. Oh. Okay. The CSBG annual report is made up of 4 modules. Module 1 includes information on the state administration of funds to the CSBG eligible entities, the use of the state administered and discretionary funds for training assistance, and information on the CSBG eligible entity, meeting organizational standards and implementing Roma. There's 9 sections in Module 1, and Module 1 is completed by DCS. Module 2 is the CSBG eligible entities capacity building and resources. This module is broken down into 3 sections. Section A is all expenditures by the CSBG eligible entity. Section B, capacity building, and Section C is all allocated resources. Module 2 is completed by the network and is due to DCS on March 8th. Module 3 is the community level. This includes information on implementation of strategies and results achieved for communities where people in low income live. Module 3, it's the community initiative status form. Most of you should be familiar with this as this is on C-4D on your work plan. The submission of this module is optional, but I do need to share with you that we believe in the near future that this is going to become a requirement. Module 4 is the individual and family level. This includes information on services provided to individuals and families, demographic characteristics of people served, and results achieved for individuals and families with low incomes. Again, this is broken into 3 sections. Section A is the individual and national performance indicators. Section B, individual and family services. And Section C is the all characteristics report. This is also due to DCS on March 8th. Okay. So why do we do this? The annual report fulfills the CSBG Act requirements. As many of you may be aware, each state that receives CSBG state funding must submit a state plan. And within this plan, the state must identify how they plan to operate CSBG and use CSBG funding. The annual reports are required and are used to indicate how the CSBG network actually operated and used funding. These annual reports provide information on the CSBG network's progress with organizational standards and state accountability measures. And they also provide information for the Office of Community Services, state and local CAAs to manage and improve results.
Really?
Now, because you are already familiar with modules 2 through 4, this morning I'm just going to do a review of module 1. As you can see here, module 1 is made up of 9 sections, and we're just going to do a quick review of each section. Okay, go ahead. So section A is the state administration. In this section, the lead agency and the department of the lead agency is identified. The authorized official lead of the agency is identified, and any additional programs administered by the state CSBG lead agency are identified. Section B is the statewide goals and accomplishments. In this section, we have to provide any progress that we have made on our most recently submitted state plan, the CSBG eligible entity overall satisfaction. This information comes from the American Customer Survey Index that each agency in the network is sent to complete every 2 years. The CSBG eligible entity feedback and involvement. Here we have to explain how we consider your feedback. State management accomplishments. We have to describe what we feel as the state is our top accomplishment for the fiscal year. The CSBG eligible entity management accomplishments. This is a description of how responsible, informed leadership and effective, efficient process led to high quality, accessible, well-managed services and strategies. You may be familiar with this. This is one of the narratives we ask you to submit with your annual report. The innovative solution highlights. This is a description of how eligible entities address a cause or condition of poverty in the community using an innovative or creative approach. This also is one of the narratives we ask you to submit. Section C, we just need to provide the eligible entity update. So it's really just a list of all the agencies in our network. Section D is organizational standards. We have to provide a description of our assessment process for the standards, the overall organizational standard performance, which is the target versus actual. We are required to set what we feel is our target in the state plan, and then we need to report on your actual performance. We have to identify any challenges and factors contributing to the difference between the target and actual results. We have to provide the percentage meeting the organizational standards by each category and provide the number of technical assistant plans and quality improvement plans as a result of not meeting standards. Section E is the state use of funds. In this section, we have to show that we have provided the network with the required 90% of funds. Plan versus actual allocation. The plan allocation is generated from our state plan. We have to report here what we actually allocated to you based on our notice of grant award. Actual distribution time frame, we have to describe if we made the funding available to the network after we received our grant notice. For state administrative funds, we have to identify the amount that we obligated for administrative activities. We have to provide the number of staff that was funded by CSBG and provide a description on the use of the remainder funding and the discretionary funds. And we also identify what types of organizations the state worked with to carry out CSBG activities for the fiscal year. Section F is training and technical assistance. We provide a description of how the state provides training and technical assistance, and also on the types of organizations through which the state provided training and technical assistance. Section G is state linkages and communications. In this section, we have to describe the activities that the state supported with CSBG discretionary funds. We provide a description of the linkages and coordination at state level that the state created or maintained to ensure increased access to services. And we have to provide a description of how we assured that each eligible entity used linkages to fulfill service gaps. Section H is monitoring, corrective action, and fiscal controls. In this section, we have to provide a description on the actual monitoring visits conducted during the reporting year. We describe our monitoring policies and how we provide monitoring reports. We have to describe or explain if there has been any corrective action plans. And we report on the single audit reviews. In this section, we provide the dates that the single audit was accepted into the Federal Audit Clearinghouse for each agency. And finally, Section I is the Roma section. In this section, we provide a description on CSBG eligible entities' Roma participation. We describe how we as a state provide Roma support and how we review each agency's Roma data. And the last slide here is just, now this is the second year this has happened where we've had to do a care supplemental report. And I just wanted to, remind everyone, we here at the state have to do a module 1, but it is a modified version. So we will only have to complete sections A, B, E, F, and G. You guys will do modules 2 and 4, but again, these are modified versions, and they're sections A and C related to CARES funding for module 2, and for module 4, only section B, outcomes achieved through the use of CARES funds, is to be completed. And these are due on March 8th as well.
Amy, are there questions for Amy on the annual report, or are there any questions for Manny on his report? I just want to comment on Manny's report that is a member of the group that's doing a review of the monitoring, that it's empowering to know that we have a voice. So I want to thank the Department of State for that. Next on the agenda, we have Jackie Orr, CEO with New York State Community Action Association.
Great. Thank you, Tina. And I appreciate the opportunity to give an update on what NISCA does. And Amy, I just want to do a shout out to you. That was a great overview of Module 1. Sometimes I don't think our agencies pay enough attention to Module 1 and what the states need to report. So I think it's always good to keep that in front of our agencies. So thank you for that. All right, so I'm going to do a brief overview of what NISCA has been involved with, and I also want to thank Manny and as well. The monitoring work group has been it's been empowering, as Tina said. I think it's been really good. There's been a number of community action agency executive directors and leadership staff on that group, and we've only met for a few months, and I think we're making great progress. So I like that we continue to have that partnership. So as far as NISCA, as many of you already know, we have e-learning. So we have several courses as a part of NISCA Learn for community action agency staff, board members, and volunteers. It is becoming more and more popular. Right now we have over 1,900 NISCA Learn users. So we recently finished 2 courses, one on adverse childhood experiences, and thanks to our certified ACEs trainers who were able to help us put that together, and that's been a very valuable addition to our library of courses. And then we also have a new course on the Community Action Plan. Some of you may remember that we had a training for the network a year ago, and out of that training came a desire to work on our community action plan and to make it more robust, perhaps in some places where we could do that. So we have an interactive course, and really what it does is it integrates Roma and Roma concepts and principles into our community action plan. It kind of connects the dots for people who may not have been able to see that or make it more clear, I think. And then learners have the opportunity to build what we call a well-constructed community action plan. So we've got a lot of really positive feedback about that because it's fun. For those of you who haven't been done our courses, we have Phoebe here as our staff person, and she makes them as interactive and fun as they can be, and they're also a great learning tool. Also, from that community action community action plan course, we have worked very closely, NISCA and the Department of State, in putting together community action plan templates. So for agencies to use when they're developing their community action plan. So we've released 8 templates so far. That has been a great a great opportunity for community action agency staff who are part of that work group to work through the process and be able to share it with the community action agencies across the state. We're really thinking that this is going to change how our data looks down the line. It's an effort to make sure that those of us who are providing the services and programs are reporting in the same way, so our reporting is similar across the state. So we've come a long way to making that happen, and at work group it's continuing because we're still not done yet. We, of course, continue with our Roma work. As Amy mentioned, that's a part of what DOS reports on. So we do regional Roma trainings where we're doing 5 in 2022. We do them virtually. And we at NISCA, we take bets on how quickly they're going to sell out. With 47 community action agencies and new staff and staff who want to go through them again, usually within an hour after us posting them, they're fully subscribed. So we're doing one later this month and then in April and on from there. We have a very active Roma Alliance, and the Roma Alliance is actually the group that came up with the idea of working on the templates, and we work together and talking about implementing Roma practices and principles within an agency. We have Roma trainers and Roma implementers who make up that Roma Alliance. And we also meet separately with the Roma trainers and implementers to talk about specific topics that are relevant to both groups. And I work really closely with Jessica at DOS. Let me see what else I want to talk about. We have a lot of affinity groups and many ways for the network to engage with each other. And I'm particularly passionate about this because as a learner myself, I like the opportunity where we can grow and share best practices and support each other. So we have communities of practices, we have learning groups, and we have affinity groups. We just launched our new affinity group for frontline workers. So that's exciting. They met for the first time earlier this month. And then on behalf, the network has requested another affinity group for agency staff who work specifically with senior programs. So that group will be meeting very soon. We just got the list of folks. So we have, I think there's 13 people who are interested. So that's great. So it's really, again, an opportunity for community action agency staff to get together and share challenges and successes and to get support from each other, because, that's the best thing about having a network is we aren't alone. We have an Emerging Leader Institute, which we fondly call ELI. That's going great. We have 55 for this year. I know I could see Tina grimace, and so did I, because that's a big group. We have 36 in 1.0, meaning you're joining us for the first time. And then we have 19 in 2.0, which means they've come back for a second year. So that's good. That's actually a good number. Having 19 in the second year is good because it's big enough but small enough for us to have those good conversations. The 2.0 group work on projects that they design within their agencies, and then they share with the entire group. So that's just I could go on for hours, but that's just a brief overview of kind of the highlights of what NISCA has been doing and will be continuing to do. We also do our publications like our newsletter and our poverty report, our ED manual. We will continue with our conference. We're hoping to do an in-person event this year in September in 20 and 21. Of course, they were virtual. So we're hoping that we will be able to do it in September. We're looking at Rochester. And then, of course, our fondly remembered ED seminar. We have a seminar every year for executive directors and CEOs, and we were able to hold that in person in October of 21. So we're hoping that we can do that again this year. We have some exciting things happening with our CARES funding. We're doing motivational interviewing. Our CARES funding is supporting staff to go through a motivational interviewing course, 10 weeks, 3 hours every Thursday morning. They've been finding that very productive and working with their customers and their clients. And then as folks finish that course, we have a motivational interviewing group where we can continue to talk about and apply those skills that we learned with each other and with our clients. We are working on 2 reports. NISCA is in response to COVID. One is the internal processes and procedures that agencies made in their policies. That is about ready to be released within the next couple of weeks. All of you as EDs will be seeing a survey coming out in the next couple of weeks. Our second report is really going to focus on the services that we needed to change, the pivots that we needed to do, and was that successful? Are those service changes some things that we're continuing or not, and why? And kind of want to get into any service delivery changes that were made as a result of COVID and that were sustained because they were successful. So I'm really excited about that. Once we finish that report, we're going to kind of make it live in that we're going to bring the agencies who have participated or want to share more information and have some panel discussions around those service delivery changes. We also have a social justice committee that's been working now for about a year, and we're continuing to meet regularly, and we are looking at engaging a DEI consultant to work with us on doing DEI assessments within our agencies. So stay tuned for more information about that. We've held a series of webinars as well, and we are going to continue to hold the webinars using some of those CARES funding as well. For those of you who don't know, we as NISCA is the lead association for Region 2, which is New York, New Jersey, Puerto Rico, and the U.S. Virgin Islands. So we have this HCCT grant that we're working under with the Office of Community Services. Human Capacity and Community Transformation is what HCC stands for. And we had a regional convening on Tuesday, and I think it went really well. We had agencies share their initiatives. So there were a number of folks. We had 4 initiatives from New York, 2 in New Jersey, and 1 in Puerto Rico. And I think the synergy was great. We had Dr. Howard, the director of OCS at the federal level, come and meet with us and kick off the day. And Manny spoke, as well as his counterpart in New Jersey and the association president in Puerto Rico. And there was a lot of good information that was shared. I like the synergy between New York and New Jersey. We sent out an evaluation at the end, asking folks if they wanted to continue to have conversations or share information, that we can do that. So there will be future learning opportunities as well. The shipping containers, temporary housing was really interesting. So we definitely want to hear more about what that one agency in New Jersey is doing. And so we continue to work with New Jersey and Puerto Rico associations to continue to build those partnerships. And we would also have doing some communities of practices, as I mentioned before, around leadership, trauma-informed care, and best and evidence-based practices. So we are a small but mighty group. And with that, I'm going to turn it back over to Tina.
Thank you, Jackie. You know, for those of you who are not intimately involved with the Community Action Network or running a community action agency, I can't say enough about Jackie and her team and the support that we get from NISCA. It's remarkable the amount of work that they do and the support that we get, and we would not be as wonderful and successful as we are without them. So thank you, Jackie. Any questions for Jackie?
Very brief, Miguel Santos in Buffalo. Jackie, I'd like to learn more about these affinity groups, how we can network throughout the state so that we can offer support and resources. You know, I'm very familiar with community action, and I'm also curious to find out more about the Social Justice Committee so that we can, you know, just pair together so that we can move forward. Thank you.
Oh, I had to unmute there. Okay, good. So we'll be in touch, and I can provide you with more details. Our affinity groups are growing. Some of them are very specific to community action, like we have an HR affinity group. So that's for human resource professionals within community action agencies. And then we have a finance affinity group for finance staff within agencies. But others of our affinity groups are more topic based, like I mentioned with our senior group that we're starting with our frontline. So Miguel, yes, let's definitely talk more. And I'd like to connect too about our social justice committee as well, because that is still kind of in the formation stages. So we would like to, we're still working on our agenda and our goals and our action steps in that group. So I would love to connect more and have further conversations about that. That would enrich our group.
Thank you. Any other questions for Jackie?
Just look forward
All
to
right, moving.
continuing to hear more about the ACEs work. That's work we weren't at the front of the queue, but we hope to get in the queue to bring some of that to New York City. So it's exciting to hear how it's being sustained.
Yeah, yeah. And we're now actually, I forgot to mention, Mike, that's a good thing. So, yeah, it's on our plan with working with DYCD. And we are also now the certified trainers. I believe there's 15 in the community action agencies, and we are now kind of like our Roma trainings. We're now offering them on a regular basis to community action agency staff in the network. So we did our first one last month, and we have a series going throughout the rest of the year. Which complements our e-learning ACES course as well. So, and we just got some new materials. Tina, I see you, so I'll share it with all the ACES, but we got some new materials that we can share as trainers with our participants. So good news.
Great. I look forward to hearing about that. Thank you. Is there any old business? Is there any new business?
Tina, I'd like to bring something up. It's an old issue, but I don't know that the advisory council has ever addressed it. And I think as we're coming out of the pandemic and employment's an issue and racial equity is a new focus point. It's not a new issue, but it's a new focus point of what we're doing. I do think we need to look at agency employment and wages. You know, the people that we hire as community action agencies, the folks tend to come from our communities, and quite frankly, many of them don't look like me. And it's not great for our workers, and it's not great for our agencies. We hear from individual agencies all the time that employment is a huge problem. We can't keep staff. We're losing them to local government, state government, school districts. We can't keep people. We've been working on a minimum wage standard for a very long time. But it might be time to start addressing this through policy. It's not anything new. As a matter of policy, we have MWBE requirements in our contracts. In our other programs like Head Start and weatherization, we've had prevailing wage requirements to make sure people are being paid adequately. And I think the advisory committee should look into it as a matter of policy for our agencies. If I had my druthers and I was waving a scepter of the king, I'd say we could go to the MIT website and look at the prevailing wage for your county, and people are getting paid to work in state-funded programs. It's somewhat of an embarrassment that the people that we employ can continue to be clients of our agencies also. So I just like to propose that the advisory committee take that on as an issue.
Thank you, Charles. Is this is this anything that we should look at in terms of a subcommittee, a small group of folks that are willing to work on this issue?
I'd be willing to do that.
I thought you might be. Anyone else?
Miguel Santos in Buffalo. I was happy to hear that Robert Rodriguez spoke about housing. We know that housing is a huge problem throughout the country. We see the migration of people from downstate New York moving all over, including upstate New York. I look forward maybe to make contact with Manny to talk about the reentry population, the disabled population, the refugee, immigrant population. Refugees and immigrants have always been super important in New York State in maintaining the our population. And I would like to discuss other housing programs for home ownership, like Habitat for Humanity and other programs that assist people that own homes so that they don't lose their homes, and home ownership for these particular populations, so that just as what Charlie just said about people that look like him, home ownership, we need to take a look about home ownership for a nice diverse population. So Manny, I'd like to have a conversation so that you can guide me and we can guide the conversation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Miguel. And I know that one of the things that NISCA does is issues a directory so that you can particularly look for housing programs and which community action agencies are involved in housing. So that might be a resource that Jackie could share with the entire advisory council, if that's helpful.
Please, that'd be great.
Yep, I could do that.
Also, Tina,
Charlie,
this
I
is
see that-
Andrea, and I want to thank Miguel and also Charlie for their comments. I think that looking at the fact that we employ a welfare state within our agencies, I think that'd be a great social justice topic to review. So I see Jackie's nodding her head. So I'd just like to suggest that, and I know we'll all be involved and engaged. Thank you.
Thank you, Andrea. I see that Jerome had also chatted in that he would be interested in joining a small group. So Manny, maybe that's something that we can follow up with and see if we can
I'll
enlist some.
follow up with you and Dennis and Dan. Let's schedule something next month or so to put together.
Thank
Okay.
you. Thank you. Is there any other new business? Then our next meeting is scheduled for May 19th at 10 a.m. And if there's no other business, then I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
I'll second.
There's a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Motion's been made and seconded. Have a wonderful rest of your week, everyone. And we'll see you all again in May.
Thank you, Tina. Did a nice
Thank you.
job. Okay,
Thank you,
take care.
Tina. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye-bye.
Spur of the moment chair. Yeah. Thank you.